So, okay. So, good morning, everyone. So, the subject is Advanced Clinical Chemistry, and the subject code is 20 MLB308. And this is BSc MLT, fifth semester. You are fifth semester students, and currently we are discussing about this heavy metals and their toxic effects of heavy metals. So, in the last lecture, we discussed about what is pollution, different types of pollution, the effects of pollution on environment, and the biological consequences or the mechanism of these toxins on the cells and how the cells undergo death. So those things we have covered. Anyway, we can go with a quick overview of our previous class, and we can start today's session. So today I will discuss even more interesting things about this toxic metals. So coming to the class, let me go to the next slide. So in the last lecture, we discussed about the biomolecules and the metabolic pathways. So these heavy metals will interfere with the normal metabolism of the cell, and that results in formation of some free radicals. So free radicals means these are the reactive oxygen species, ROS, okay, ROS. So this reactive oxygen species will signal the cell to commit suicide. So that is called apoptosis. Cellular apoptosis will be triggered by these free radicals. Free radicals are generated due to interference of some heavy metals. Heavy metals will interfere with the normal metabolic pathway of the cell, results in free radical formation, and free radicals will undergo the apoptotic mechanism of the cell, which is cell death. So if cells died means obviously we will die. So that's the simple story. Okay, so this is what I was trying to say. So here, let me take laser down. So any heavy metal, it can be a mercury, cadmium, arsenic, lead, chromium, or iron, whatever it is. So all these heavy metals will give stress to the cells. Okay, they will interfere, they will block the normal metabolic pathways of the cell, hence resulting in formation of ROS. ROS means here reactive oxygen species. This reactive, usually cell has the natural mechanism of suppressing this this reactive oxygen species. We have antioxidants. Antioxidants will try to suppress the free radicals, but cell has a limit. Cell has a limit or a threshold of suppressing these free radicals. So upon certain limit or certain threshold, the cell cannot withstand the heavy free radicals forming within the cells, which are induced by the heavy metals. So cell will simply give the signal of suicide. Okay, this cell is no more functional, and cell will tell this cell to undergo death. So it will trigger apoptosis. Apoptosis results in cell death. Cell death results in our death eventually, in one way or other way, organ failures, etc. So yes, so heavy metals has a direct consequences on cell functions. Okay, so this is how the heavy metals will cause the death. And the types of signs and symptoms, the patient variations of individual metals we can see, but in general they all will have the similar signs and symptoms in the body. Okay, so this is how the heavy metals will kill the persons, by inducing free radicals, and free radicals will go apoptosis, and apoptosis results in cell death, eventually people death. So yeah, so this is all about the poisons. There are many heavy metals which are suspended in the air, and this is causing a serious global health concerns, not only the humans, but to the animals and all flora and fauna of the environment. So everything is getting affected by these heavy metals and their toxic effects. Okay. Now I would like to tell a small story about a heavy metal, which has a very good history. Okay, so this is lead actually. Okay, so here you can see aqueducts. So even 3,000 to 4,000 years ago itself, the Greeks have these water systems. They have fountains. How they mastered this water technology, how they constructed these aqueducts and water fountains. Definitely, they must have some engineers who are very good at preparing these metals, these pipes, to divert the water from higher region to the lower region, and they have this very good piping system. Okay, so for making those pipes, they are extensively dependent on a very easily available, easily mendable, or easily extractable material called lead. Lead is extensively available in Greek. Okay, so compared to the iron, lead is easy to obtain and easy to process and easy to make any scaffoldings we want or metallic structures we want. So they heavily dependent on this lead, and on with the help of lead, they made these pipes and they made these beautiful aqueducts. Okay, so but they don't know what they are doing. They don't know the lethal consequences of lead poisoning. They don't know what are the outcomes of lead. So the first thing that lead will do is lead will block acetylcholine an acetylcholine blocker. It will block the acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is very important for the communication in between neurons. Any two neurons will communicate each other via acetylcholine A molecule. So this lead will block this acetylcholine A molecule, results in improper nervous function, results in due to improper nervous function, the patient will feel halogenic. He will have halogens. He will become psychic. He will be aggressive. He will get many hallucinations. He will have many imaginative friends. They will become psychopaths. They will become mental patients. Eventually they will go to coma and they will die. So these are the consequences of lead. And Greeks also used this lead to make their wine sweeter. If we add wine to the if we add lead to the wine will taste better. Okay, and we know the famous Greek philosopher Aristotle. Aristotle is a wine lover, and now we can able to understand why Aristotle is very good at imagination. Aristotle is under the influence of lead, which has been taken via his drinks. Okay, so yeah, now we understood why Aristotle has very good imaginative powers. That is because of not only wine, but it is due to the toxic effects of the lead, which is suspended in the wine. By the way, there is one interesting thing. In Latin, the lead is called as plumbum. The workers, they, okay, in Latin, lead is called plumbum, and lead is extensively used in water pipes preparation. So the people who are working for this water pipes, who are manufacturing water pipes, you know what they are called as? See here, the Greek name for PB lead is plumbum, and plumbum means water piper, water. Okay, water pipe is called plumbum, and that is how the name plumber is originated. So the Latin name of lead is plumbum, and this is the origin of plumber. And most of the plumbers have these psychological issues because they are closely associated with this lead, and they used to die soon because of mental abnormalities. So yes, the history one way or other way stated the lethal consequences of heavy metals on human health. Of course, now we can understand the reason why Greeks are no more. Why their civilization has ended. Their civilization has ended uh, by the time of their mastered the technology of water aquatic ducts. So upon mastering this technology, their whole civilization has been diminished. The reason is their civilization has been killed by this lead poisoning. So yes, so there is this silent historical extinction of one good civilization happened by this silent killer, which is lead. So similarly, we will see the heavy metal toxins and their effects on health. Okay, so this is one good example of lead poisoning. But the role of the significance of lead poisoning or the effects of lead on human health has not appreciated until the recent beginnings of this petroleum era. In the petrol, they will add lead as a very good additive. Lead will stabilize this petroleum products. Okay, petrol, diesel, kerosene, all this enriched distilled crude oils. So now what happened is there is a scientist called Clark Atkinson. He's working on lead atmospheric lead studies, and he came to the conclusion that the high levels of lead in the atmosphere is due to combustion vehicles. The vehicular fuel has this lead, and this lead caused human problems. So he really did very good campaigns against this lead usage in the fossil fuels. Because of him, today the fossil fuels are free of lead. His name is Clark Patterson. I will show his campaign. So these are the real heroes. They are the one who really fought uh, against such evil consequences in the history. So this is Clark Patterson, and you can see. By the way, the Earth age is discovered by Clark Patterson. Today we know that Earth is aged around 4.5 billion years. So the age of Earth has been calculated by this Clark Patterson with the help of some zircon ions, where he is very good. He specialized at studying the levels of lead, and he is very good at understanding lead isotopes. On his study on Earth age, he also understood the lethal consequences of lead on the environment and the human biology. And he did a really good campaign, and it is because of Clark Patterson today our fossil fuels are free of lead. Okay, so he did a very good campaign against lead poisoning. And at last, the Americans has issued a new bill about reducing the lead usage in the fossil fuels. So yeah, this is a very challenging thing because the entire cooperative industry is dependent on oil, and going against this mega oil people is really tough, but he did it. He did a very good task at making the earth lead free. So he is Clark Atkinson. So there are many superheroes in the story of toxic metals. Anyway, let us come back to our topic. So yes, so today we understood that how the plumbum word has been origin, because lead is extensively used in the pipes, water pipes, and that is why the water pipe worker is called as plumbler. Okay, yeah. Yeah, then we discussed about the other toxic effects of non-metals, such as plastic is one global concern, and I discussed very interesting story about the plastic effects. Then let us see a few more things. So how do these metal poisons occur? What is the source of these metal poisons? So the source is obviously some medical things. So it is because of medical activities we are making this biomedical waste. It can be a human waste, it can be plastic, soiled waste or water, fluid containing infectious waste. We have plastic waste, then organ waste. This is anatomical waste. Then we have pharmaceutical waste, and we also have syringes and needles, metal waste, okay, sharps waste. Then yes, this waste will be dumped into the environment, and the environment is getting damaged by these metals and toxins. Then I discussed about, by the way, this particular news has shocked me because you just see here during the COVID pandemic, the Delhi alone is producing 11 million tons of biomedical waste per day. Just see 11 million tons of biomedical waste per single day. You just imagine how much waste we generated for past 3 years or past 2.5 years after COVID pandemic. So yes, this waste is really a global concern, and COVID has one way or other way triggered this biomedical waste generation up to 400 times fold, increased the usage. Really problematic. So there are many hazards of this biomedical waste. Okay, so we need a proper waste management plans. We need to properly sort them, segregate them, handle them, storage them, dispose, and finally terminate the biomedical waste. So usually we will go with the traditional approaches like say, classifying the waste into and segregating the waste into various colored bins like white, blue, red, yellow, and black. I hope you know what waste need to be disposed in what color bin. Say for example, the sharps will be disposed in white, plastic waste will be disposed in blue, pharmaceutical waste will be disposed in black, then human anatomical waste will be disposed in yellow, and soiled waste, blood containing, fluid containing waste will be disposed in the red. So yes, there is a international classification of how to dispose various types of biomedical waste. As I stated, human anatomical waste in the yellow, soiled waste in red, plastic waste in blue, pharmaceutical waste in black, and sharps in white. Okay, so yeah, This is all about a segregation of waste. So this is uh, beyond the area of our topic, which is metals toxicity. So I'm just skipping this part of the lecture. So biomedical waste definitions, their consequences, causes. Most of the time, the healthcare waste, 85% is non-infectious and 15% is infectious, which includes chemical, radioactive waste, and infectious waste. So yeah, sources of waste generation. So what healthcare organizations will generate this waste? It can be government hospitals, private hospitals, nursing homes, clinics, dental clinics, dispensaries, primary healthcare centers, medical research training centers, mortuaries, blood banks, animal houses, slaughterhouses. Slaughterhouses means this one. Our chicken shops, this all meat shops, they are called slaughterhouses. They will generate biomedical waste. Clinical laboratories, our laboratories will generate biomedical waste. Research organizations will generate biomedical waste. Vaccine centers, even biotechnology institutes will generate biomedical waste. Okay. So even we further classify biomedical waste into various categories, like we have infectious, pathological, shops, pharmaceutical, genotoxic, chemical, and metals. Okay, radioactive, heavy metal waste. So our concern is on heavy metals. So let us focus this lecture towards the heavy metals. Okay, from generalized view to the metallic view of metallic toxic view. Okay, so just skipping this basic things. So yes, uh, yeah, this waste is causing so much damage to the environment. This one picture shows the human interference and the human ignorance mm, on handling the waste. So he's simply dumping far away from the city, assuming that the city is clean, but he's damaging the land, he's damaging the water, he's damaging the air, he's even damaging the surrounding animals that include animals, birds, everything. So everything is getting affected by this biomedical waste or any toxic materials per se. Okay, so yes, we are not there is a meaning of Homo sapiens. Humans are also Homo sapiens. You know what is the meaning of Homo sapiens? Homo sapiens means wise beings. Are we really wise? Are we really wise in treating the nature? I think we should redefine Homo sapiens. We should redefine it as idiotic sapiens. It will be better thing, not wise beings. If we are wise, we may not do the activities that we are doing right now. So yes, there is a serious concern about this one. So yeah, this is depending upon my conclusion about this metallic waste. I want to tell about this one. How many of you know this T800 Cyberdyne System Model 101? Do you know what is this T800? Okay, so I want to tell that there is new or yeah, today we have a new villain. The villain is in toxic metals. So I hope you know Terminator. So in the Terminator movie, there is a villain called T1000. So the hero is T800, and the villain, he is a metallic villain. He can able to convert himself into metal. So yeah, this picture shows the pictorial representation of the evil effects of toxics or metals. So here, I think he is a Mercury man or something. So yeah, so in pictures it looks very fancy to see this metal humans or evils. But in reality, if you take some lead or a mercury poison, the reality will be like this. So this is a person who got intoxicated with some heavy metal poisoning. Okay, silver poison. So because of silver metal, don't expect that you will become T1000. Rather than you will become someone who is very pity, who is gonna say goodbye to the world. So these are the real effects of metals on human biology. So this photo I took from Wikipedia. Okay, so this is an authenticated real patient effects of these heavy metals. By the way, are you listening, me students? Are you following my lecture? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Thank you, students. Okay, so these are the effects of metals. Okay, the toxic metals on human biology. Then some of the important toxic metals include cadmium, mercury, lead, chromium, and arsenic, including there are other cesium, some other metals also, which are really infectious, toxin. toxic to the human biology. By the way, students, um, actually, I too don't know this proper definition or differentiation between these two. Can you help me on knowing what is the difference between toxin and poison? Do you have any idea, students? How a toxin is different from poison? Can you help me with this, or let me learn with you? Let me share my entire computer screen. Let us see what is the difference between a poison and a toxin. Why metallic? Why we are not saying metal poison? Why we are saying them as toxins? Let us see the basic difference between toxin versus poison. We need not to worry about venom. Venom is just other thing. Toxin versus poison. Venomous toxin versus, see here. It's not clear. So toxin versus poison. So toxins means may enter the body in different ways, work in low quantities or low levels, easy to detect. If treatment is early, the person can be saved. Whereas poison normally enter in a single massive dose, normally are found in huge doses, hard to detect. People often die because the reason for illness is not detected soon enough. So this is the major difference between toxin and poison. Okay. So to my knowledge, what I understood is toxin can kill us even at micro quantities, whereas poison will kill us at greater quantities. Detection, toxin can be easily detected, but poison detection is very tough. I think poison is organic in origin. I think poison is created by living organisms, whereas toxins can be either organic or inorganic. Mostly inorganic, I guess. Since inorganic, they are metals. Metals can be easily detected by spectrophotometer, very simple analysis, flame photometer. So they can be easily detected. And the treatment is also there. We can able to treat toxins. Okay, but we cannot treat poisons because poisons can instantaneously kill the patient, and also poisons will deliver in high doses. Because of high dosage of a poison, it is the time that we have to save the patient is very less, whereas toxins will have a chronic effect. Toxins will cause a chronic. Okay, chronic illness will be induced by toxins, whereas acute illness will be induced by poisons. Poisons will be fast in development, causing damage to the body, whereas toxins will be long term. So yes, then according to our heavy metal poison, heavy metal toxins, so the toxin will be appropriate term that we can keep for heavy metals rather than poison. If there is any heavy metal that can kill us instantaneously, then we may term it as poison. That depends upon the criteria, the time it taking to kill us. So yeah, so here there is one more definition. So toxins, specific proteins induced by living organisms, poisons, toxicants that cause immediate death. Oh, yeah. Okay, do one thing, students. Help me out with this small topic. Okay, you should take a small seminar on toxins and poisons. Okay, you should teach me what is poison and what is toxin. That will be better. Okay, since you're in fifth semester, you can do that task. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. Okay. Yeah. So let us say some terms. So heavy metals, the most common heavy metals are cadmium, chromium, copper, mercury, lead, and zinc. These are few toxic heavy metals. So the properties of heavy metals include they have shininess, they have high melting point, they are high density, they are very good conductors for electricity, they are non-degradable in nature. They can be hampered into thin sheets, and they can also drawn out of wires, thin wires. So this is non-biological properties of metals. Let us see the biological properties of metals. Okay, so we have different types of metals. We have alkali earth metals, alkaline earth metals, then metalloids and heavy metals. Okay, then heavy metals are further differentiated into four types: macronutrients, micro high toxic elements, and precious elements. So macronutrients include copper, zinc, cobalt, and ferrous, which are required in our regular diet, whereas micronutrients, which not required regular diet, but usually their presence is necessary, which can be taken by some tablets. Okay, some drugs, copper, nickel, chromium, and iron will be taken as a supplementation by drugs. Okay, then high toxic elements that include cadmium, lead, silver, and mercury. These four elements can kill us instantaneously. Okay, so the high toxic elements are cadmium, lead, silver, and mercury. Then precious elements, platinum, silver, gold. Not to worry. So definition. So heavy metal refers to any metallic chemical element that has a high specific gravity and high relative atomic mass. I think in our last class we have a definition. The atom with greater than 20 atomic number can be stated as a heavy metal. So they are the heavy metals. Then we have three types of the heavy metals: essential heavy metals, beneficial heavy metals, and detrimental or dangerous heavy metals. So essential include iron, zinc, copper, chromium, cobalt, molybdenum, and selenium are essential for our day-to-day biological activities, such as the enzymes work depending on cofactors. There is the involvement of certain cofactors which are very essential for the normal functioning of enzymes. So for the smooth functioning of enzymes, we do require or we do rely on certain heavy metals such as iron, zinc, copper. They are essential heavy metals. Then beneficial heavy metals, I think they have some good health benefits. That is why they kept beneficial health things like the silicon, manganese, nickel, boron, and vanadium. Then detrimental, okay, dangerous, mercury, cadmium, lead, arsenium, and chromium. Then distinguished properties of metals. So they are globally distributed and they are globally pollutants. Conservative pollutants, they are effectively and permanently will cause damage to the environment. Uh, they can be stated as a chemical time bombs, okay, and immutable to pollutants. They won't convert to a safer element. Once we are purely extracting them, they are immutable. That means they won't change their configuration to the neutral state. So there are few distinguished properties of heavy metals. So the biological activities of these heavy metals include: they will inhibit enzymal activity, they will inhibit the protein synthesis of proteins within the cell, they will cross the cell membranes, and via by diffusion of pinocytosis. Pinocytosis is a modified macrophagocytosis. Okay, here the cells will they will engulf the surrounding particles, and that process is called picocytosis. Then they will target critical organs, okay, mostly kidney, and they will cause damage to the critical organs of the body, the vital organs that are important for sustaining life. Okay, so these are the biological activities of metals. Then target organ of toxicity of metals. So say for example, zinc. Zinc will target blood, resulting in hemotoxicity. Arsenic will target liver, resulting in hepatotoxicity. Mercury and lead will target brain and will cause neurotoxicity. And cadmium will target the kidney and lungs, resulting in pulmonotoxicity and nephrotoxicity. So this is the generalized summary of the toxic metals and the target organs and the resultant disorder that we can see in the body. Okay, zinc will cause blood toxicity or hemotoxicity, arsenic liver, mercury lead brain, and cadmium kidney and lungs. So these are the few important heavy metals that will cause lethal consequences in the human biology, or that will cause diseases in the humans. Okay, so what are the sources of these heavy metals? Just like the way we have sources for generation of this biomedical waste, which are all medical associated hospitals, clinics, etc. Similarly, what might be the sources of these heavy metals? Can you tell me, students? What sources will generate these heavy metals? Can you give me some examples without seeing the slide? What might be the sources of these heavy metals? One might be mining. Okay, in mining, what we will do, we will dig hole ground and we will extract the elements, and sometimes we will spread this into the environment. So mining will cause metal toxicity. Any other? Mining will cause metal toxicity. Industrialization will cause metal toxicity. Then usage of metals in our daily products, such as usage of heavy metals in the thermometer, in the AC, refrigerators, even your cathode tube monitors, TVs will have these heavy metals. Heavy metals can also be originated from fossil fuels usage. So most nowadays we are not using this what is this for lead in generalized vehicles motors, but we are still using lead in aeroplane fuels. So the enriched petroleum will be used in aeroplanes. So aeroplane fuel has lead still. So fossil fuels is one source of this metal generation. Then glass industries, I think Sumit Kumar said, yes, glass industry. Here we will use boron, some silicon, and some additives to make this to make the glass transparent. So even glass industries will generate this heavy metals toxicity. And any other sources of heavy metal toxicity. So far we got aviation industry, fossil fuels, then mines, biomedical equipments, refrigerators, home appliances, and what can generate this toxicity, toxic metal origin. Any more? So let us see here. Yeah. So in agriculture, yes. So many of the pesticides we are using in agriculture, right? How these pesticides are working? You know, these pesticides have heavy metals that will prevent the normal metabolism of the insects. See, if something is killing insects means that has the property of killing us also. That's why when we are spraying these pesticides, we will cover whole, we will be like corona warriors. The farmers will wear all protective gear because this pesticides of course has this heavy metals. So agriculture and forestry has one area where the heavy metals poison or the heavy metals are generated. Then fossil fuel combustions, wastewater disposals, corrosion, metallurgical industries means here they will make alloys. Okay, this aluminum, this all copper, all alloys are a blended mixtures of various metals. So even in this metallurgical industries they will generate this metal toxicity. And smelting, so smelting means high temperature liquefying any solid metal is called smelting. Okay, so we will use this specialized uh, what we can say cleanse. What is cleanse means? They are burning apparatus. There they will liquefy at high temperatures. Okay, liquefy the metals into high temperatures. So that process is called smelting. So these are the few sources where the metal pollution can occur. Mining, smelting, metallurgical industries, corrosion, waste disposal, as our someone said, glass industries, this home appliances, even fossil fuels can generate metal toxicity. So these are the sources of heavy metal pollutants. So toxicological properties of heavy metals. Okay, so few toxicological properties of heavy metals include they will cause persistent, long residual and half-life. Okay, persistent means they will stay in our body for a long time. Soil residual time, if that heavy metal is in the soil, the time it takes to neutralize it is around greater than 1,000 years. So that is one proper problem. And acute toxicity in plants, animals, and microorganisms, bioaccumulation and biomagnification through food chain. So it will accumulate within the animals. It can be fish, any animals, and it will be a part of our food chain. And that is one toxicological property of heavy metals. Then chronic and lethal effects at low concentration. Even at micro quantities, they will cause a huge problem to the human biology. They have synergetic effects. Synergetic effects means it's like a butterfly effect. Okay, one thing will cause another, one thing will trigger other thing, and other thing can cause a big problem. So synergetic effects can cause. Then teratogenic and carcinogenic properties. Okay, so carcinogenic property means it will cause cancers. These heavy metals may induce cancers in the humans. And also teratogenic. Do you know what is teratogenic, anyone? Teratogenic means if a pregnant woman undergo any heavy metal toxicity, the chance of development of abnormal fetus is very high in the pregnant woman. The components that will cause abnormalities to the developing fetus, any substance that will interfere in the development of a fetus which is in the womb, such substances are called teratogenic substances. And these heavy metals will obviously interfere in the brain development of the babies in the pregnant women. And there is a likelihood of giving birth to hydrocephalus or microcephalus condition babies. So this baby's brain will be very small, or their brain will be very large, their head will be very large. So such conditions can occur due to these heavy metals. So such property is called teratogenic property of heavy metals. So yes, there are many problems with these heavy metals. Okay. So fate of heavy metals. So the fate is due to anthropogenic or industrial activities, waste metal pollutants, environmental and ecological effects, human system. It will be exposed to food chain, water consumption, ingestion, dermal contact, and inhalation. And ultimately humans will suffer. So we are egoistic beings, right? So not only humans, but all living organisms will get affected by these heavy metals. Okay. So yeah. So this is enough for today, students. And from tomorrow onwards, we can study individual heavy metals like the toxicity of lead, the toxicity of mercury, toxicity of arsenic, cadmium, chromium, nickel, aluminum. So individual heavy metal toxicities can be studied from tomorrow onwards. Okay, so this is all about today's session. A quick summary of today's class. So in today's class, we discussed about the definition of heavy metals. Then we discussed about then we discussed about the properties of metals, then kinds of metals, the classification of heavy metals. Then we discussed about essential, beneficial, and detrimental heavy metals. Then we discussed about the distinguished properties of heavy metals. Then we discussed the biological activities of heavy metals, and we tried to understand the difference between the toxin and the poison. Then we discussed about the target organ of individual heavy metals such as zinc, arsenic, mercury, cadmium, their target organs, and the associated toxicity has been discussed. Then we discussed about the sources of various heavy metals, then toxicological properties of various heavy metals. And